Something that happened at the fair that I didn't really make a video on. I do want to record now before I forget. Now, during the fair, I think it was 9 days, and I went to the gospel tent every evening. Normally there was a concert. It started at 7 o'clock. And there were different artists that were on the radio. They were pretty popular. I had never heard any of these before. And there were 2 women who were running the events. There might have been other people that were also in charge, but to me, being there were 2 women who came up and announced guests and were there every evening. And one of them was demonically influenced. I'm not sure if she's a narcissist. I guess that might be possible. But she at least had demons. And I would see when they would manifest. And there was another woman who actually was Jezebel. It was only Jezebel, no other demons, but it was Jezebel. And these were the women that were running the event. Now, there was another man who was there many of the evenings, and he might have also had like an administrator role. But he kind of kept to himself and didn't say much. He did introduce himself to me, and maybe I spoke to him a little bit for two evenings. But the women that were outgoing, that were announcing, they were walking back and forth and like clapping and singing to the music. These were agents for the kingdom of darkness. And there was also a booth right out front of this gospel tent where they gave out free gifts like merchandise. Well, I don't think anything was for sale, but they had like a drawing for a free t-shirt and excuse me. They had like little post-it notes, little memo pads, pens, and like stress balls. And a few evenings they had like the sunglasses, so I got a couple pairs of those. I like them. But they had fans too, just paper fans. But they had there was a booth right out front with free goodies. And I don't think they had candy at this one, but anyways, there were different people there most evenings. And half of the nights, I saw two people. They looked like young adults, and they were possibly up to 30, maybe 20 to 30 years old. And I thought that they were good people. I truly did. And it's possible that they still are. And they had been told certain things about me by these other 2 women who were working for the kingdom of darkness. I'm not sure. But anyways, this gospel tent was run by a radio station. And it's like 97.7. So I like that there's 2 sevens. That alone piqued my interest. And then when you walk up, like, the people there are very nice, very polite. Now, don't tell them that you're one of the 144,000, because they won't like that very much. But I made a whole series of videos on this, and the first evening that I really spoke to someone there, there's a woman who was very interested, and she actually knew about reptilians. And so after she explained some things about herself, I told her that I was one of the 144,000, and then she got like pretty offended and like, "Are you a Jewish man?" Like that, like very Karen-like. And she was manifesting. And then the next evening she said she wanted me to meet another woman who also like walked back and forth and clapped and announced some of the guests, and this was the Jezebel. So they were the main ones in charge of this event. Now there might have been other administrators, but they weren't as hands-on, and they weren't as like exuberant. They weren't as excited. They were more in the background, and they weren't there every single night like these 2 women were. And so the first evening that I spoke to this one woman, and she was like, "Oh, can I pray for you?" And she's like pulling the people from the free stuff booth. Like she's like, "Oh, can I pray for you?" Like, "Come on, let's pray for her." And she was pulling I guess there were volunteers at this booth where they were giving out the notepads and the pens and stuff, and she pulled them over, these two young adults, and then I think the man that ran the radio station, he wasn't there every evening, pulled him in, and then a couple other people. I don't remember exactly, but maybe there was 6 people there, and they were praying for me, and she spoke. And so with this circle and me involved, then I'm sure that it made their prayer more powerful. And the other people did pray, but it started with this one woman who was an agent for the Kingdom of Darkness. And I never said that I didn't want to see things, and I didn't want to have abilities. And I didn't tell her everything. I told her a few things, but not too much. And so she knew that I could discern. She knew that I was able to see certain things in the Spirit. So during this prayer, she prays that God take away this ability to see in the Spirit. And in my mind, I reject it as she's saying this. And then the other people, they took turns praying for me. And they didn't say things like this. It was more like a standard prayer, and they didn't know my situation. So I didn't necessarily even want them to pray for me, but it was more like a learning experience for me. I wanted to know what they were going to do and what was going to happen, and I learned. And so now I know, if I go to church, not to let anyone pray for me. If we are going to, we're going to discuss what the prayer is covering and whether we agree with it or not first. It's very important that you don't mindlessly pray with someone else, because they can be praying things that are wrong, things that you don't believe, and then you're coming into agreement with it. So that was not good. And then after that, there was another man, and this man was another spirit, similar to Jezebel, but a completely different personality. He was very relaxed, laid back. You would think like a polite and nice person, but this is a demon in disguise, and this demon is not scary and mean, and it's laid back and it's polite, but it tries to peer pressure you into going along with their groupthink and their dogma and doctrine. And he too tried to pray for me and was convinced that I wasn't saved because I didn't say the exact words that Jesus, basically, they didn't say Jesus is your personal Savior, but they wanted me to say that it doesn't matter how you live, it doesn't matter if you sin, as long as you believe in Jesus, you go to heaven, which is wrong. Faith without works is dead. And many things that Jesus said go completely against this anyways. So I saw this spirit, and I saw it in more than one man that was at this event. They kind of sat in the background. They did not approach immediately. They came in later after the other 2 main women were ineffective. And so I happened to know that they were doing spell work on me because I did get disoriented and my vision shifted, and I had some severe problems like getting home one evening, and I made it. It was okay. I'm saying that they did spell work on me, and it was noticeable, and I could tell. Like when you tell Jezebel, when you tell them that you can see things, and then you say, oh yeah, my mom's Jezebel, and then, you ask them, basically, so this woman that was Jezebel, her story was that many years ago she was a prostitute, and she did drugs, and then Jesus saved her, and she repented, and now she works for the church in this radio station. But I don't know. I'm sure she was a prostitute, and I'm sure she did drugs, but Jesus did not save her. Or if Jesus did save her, then she fell back into sin, because this was Jezebel and not a woman at all. It was only Jezebel. And she was telling me about the demons and entities that she saw, and she was very excited about it. So after the other woman introduced me to her, and she was telling me about these entities, and then the next evening I got one of their free memo pads, and I went up to her and I said, oh, I was actually really interested in the demons and the entities that you saw, if you could draw them and write what they're called on this notepad. And so I thought she was going to. I gave her that, and then I went to go sit down and watch the performance. And then in the middle of the performance, she came and she wrote "Jesus loves you" on a little note, and then she put it on my lap, and then she left. And then her handwriting was just like my mom's, and the way my mom writes me notes. My mom also being Jezebel. I happen to know this is Jezebel because it was like the same effing person in a different body. Like exactly the same. And so this woman at the end of the concert said that she didn't want them to live on, or she made up some excuse like why she's like, I decided I'm not going to draw them and say what they're called because I don't want to give more life to them, and I just want them to like fade away. Or she got angry too. She was mad. She realized that it wasn't good for me to know what these beings that she was talking about looked like and what they were called. But I actually was really excited. I wasn't going to cast them into hell or anything. I just wanted to know. But she decided, like at first she was like, oh, no one's ever asked me that, and she was happy when I first asked her at the beginning of the concert, and then at the end of the concert, now she was mad and didn't want to tell me. So anyways, I kept going to this gospel tent every evening, and then I could tell they were doing spell work. They were doing heavy spell work one evening, and that's when I had problems, like where my vision shifted, and I had some other problems and attacks, and also a vehicle had parked, waited for my van to go by, and then tried to dart out in front of me and caused me to have a car accident. So this all happened while I was going to the gospel tent. And so I know these were attacks, like by the kingdom of darkness. They all failed. And so then, here's the funny thing. So like after they did the spell work on me, and I could tell, like physically, I could tell something had been done to me. So then I went to the gospel tent the next evening. Guys, I went back the next evening, and so there was the two main women, okay, like the demonically influenced woman and the Jezebel, and then there was the two younger adults that were at like the free stuff booth, and other people, and they were surprised that here I was showing up at the gospel tent again, just like every other evening. They thought I would be taken out. They thought if my car had crashed I wouldn't be able to make it, or maybe possibly something worse would have happened. I don't know, but they at least thought like if I had a car accident then I wouldn't make it the next night. But here I was. And I could tell. So the two younger people that I'm talking about, they actually were nice at first, and then I think that the Jezebel got to them, but yeah, they were nice to me at first, and I didn't notice any manifestations or anything like that. But they were also like friends with these two women from the kingdom of darkness, or at least acquaintances, and so they took what they said into account, and they were influenced by them. So then I showed up the next day after they had done spell work, and I just walked up. I didn't even say anything about what had happened to me. I didn't even mention it. And then like nothing had happened, and then the one guy who was there, like, they were not happy that I was there the next day. So they were not happy. So the guy, so I'm talking about the two younger people that were at this booth. One was like a cute girl, like a woman. She was maybe 23, and one was like a younger man, and he was maybe the same age. He was taller, and he had like a soft-spoken voice, like when he saw me. So I'm thinking he wasn't a good person, probably, because I only spoke to him like one evening. And the other woman I spoke to more, when he saw me, the look on his face was like kind of like that when he saw me. So they did spell work on me. I show up like nothing happened. I didn't say anything the next evening, and then he sees me and he's like that got it. Like kind of sad eyes, kind of like that's how he looked at me. Like, how are you here again? He was so disappointed that I was at the gospel tent again. So I have to tell you guys this. And there was also another woman who was there, and she was offering to help me, and like sent me like the names of like services and food banks and things, and like she was really nice. I think she was a trans woman, which and how she was also in prostitution. To hear her story, even though I did not see any demons manifest, it was suspicious. I thought possibly she too was working for the kingdom of darkness, but maybe she's not. But she seemed very helpful, very nice. And then as soon as the fair was over, she never responded to my texts again, and that was it. So I don't know what to say here. Maybe if I show up at the church, I would see her. But it's possible that she's also an agent for the kingdom of darkness. I really don't know, because I didn't see any demons manifest, and she was nothing but nice to me. But then she's not replying at all. It's like she's not seeing my messages. So if she herself is not evil, maybe she's been told by other people to stop associating with me, that I'm a heretic because I've said that I'm one of the 144,000. And I do tell people, I surely do. And one reason I do is because you'll see their demons manifest, and they'll treat you differently. But they already know. Like, some of them can tell without you mentioning anything. But then it's a whole other level. Like, if they maybe see that you have a star, and maybe they can tell you're one of the chosen ones. But then also when you know that you're one, it's a whole new level of what they'll do to you. Because there's spiritual gifts and all types of stuff like that. And when you tell them, I can see demons manifest, they manifest around me, I can tell who has demons, then you are a threat to them, and they will try to take you out. So say as they did heavy spell work on me, at least one evening. Maybe they did it every day, and God protected me. There was one evening, and it was bad. And guys, I don't drink. I don't do drugs. None of that. So that was not a factor here. But I didn't mention anything that happened, and there was also an attempted hit on my car. And then I just show up like nothing happened. So they were not happy that I was there the next day. Yeah, so I guess I'll have to go. Back next year. But I never did make it to the church. I just can't get up in time. Like the way my hearing is, this would be like an easy fix, but healthcare has been ruined. I don't have health insurance. I can't afford health insurance. I don't want health insurance. But the state of medical care in the United States, most providers will not help you if you do not have insurance. So like, I can't just walk in to a clinic and say, hey, my ears are clogged, can you unclog them, and give them $50. That's not how it works. Like, most of them will not see you. They will refuse to see you unless you have insurance. So you can't just pay for things you want done. My ears are always clogged. They're constantly clogged. Now they just clogged more. And occasionally they'll open up. So it's like I can hear, but not well enough for an alarm to wake me up. And so I know that God's in control of all things. And yeah, all things work together for good. And things that look bad are also used for good. So probably God doesn't want me going to a church. But I would like to go to different ones because I can discern who the demonic agents are. I can tell who the Jezebels are. They are easy to pinpoint. So this might be a good thing. When I start posting online who the Jezebels are, they might try to sue me. But as I said, I don't have any money to pay them. So, you know, it's not really going to hurt me. And at this point, I have so many court cases pending that it doesn't matter anyways. So I've got to try to find some free pro bono attorney, and they're not taking calls, and they're not taking new cases. I think that I've got a game plan on how to possibly get one. But this is just something and a reason why I do not go to church. At this point, if I did go to church, it would be for a selfish reason, to get help repairing my home. But if I did go to church, another reason I'm excited is to find out who the demonic agents are, who the narcissists and the Jezebels are in those churches, and expose them. That is what I'm interested in. Because they are in almost every church. I don't want to say they're in all churches, but almost all of them. So if there is a church that doesn't have them, then I would be glad to also expose this as well. I'd be glad to spread the word about a church that actually is for God, and they do deliverance ministries, and it is a safe place to bring your family. So guys, thanks for listening. God bless you. We don't fit into mainstream religion and churches and synagogues and mosques. Anything with power is corrupted. Thanks for watching.